And joining us now to break down just one of the important stakeholder sectors affected by the latest move, automobiles, we are fortunate to be joined by the car coach, Lauren Fix. Welcome back, Lauren. And first, let's just get into the details of this move with regard to autos. What will be the new tariff level on U.S. cars, and when will it kick in?
Okay, September 1st is going to be the first tariff level. This is sort of a tit for tat because President Trump put a tariff on China. They're matching that tariff. And again, on December 15th, they're going to increase the tariff on foods and goods. What we have to keep in mind is we are right on the cusp of the G7. And we've already been told today that there's going to be meetings there with our people in China. So we're expecting that maybe this is sort of China's way of saying we're not going to back down because President Trump is not backing down. And this is a good starting point. And we're going to see that happening right away. I think by the time Monday rolls around, just like last Monday, we may see the market turn around. So for everything we lost last Friday at this time when we were talking about it, we may regain on Monday. That we're not 100% sure. But it does say that China's not willing to back down, and maybe we can find some happy medium. Because right now, China was taking advantage of us for the longest time, and finally we were able to stand up to them. So let's see how this unfolds.
Right, and the timing certainly does seem to be strategic, making this move on the edge of the G7 and syncing the dates of their effect with those announced by the U.S. tariffs on September 1st and December 15th. But how does this break down in terms of the distribution of losses and gains here for specific companies and perhaps sectors and countries?
Well, you have to remember, in the auto industry, if they're sending vehicles over and they send them all over by September 1st, their number one selling vehicle that they're importing or they're building there is the BMW X5, followed by the Mercedes-Benz SUVs. And then beyond that, we're looking at Jeep and Lincoln, big seller for the MKC and the Ford Explorer. It's interesting, a lot of SUVs are sold there. So whatever is being built there is partially owned by a Chinese car company, so there'll be a tariff. That's after September 1st if we don't have a deal by then. My guess is that September 1st deadline was put there for a reason, and that G7, once it's all resolved, and I'm hoping that we will come up with some amicable deal, that both countries will be able to walk away shaking hands and smiling. We can only hope. But in the impact to the auto industry is they're going to have to get suppliers elsewhere. That does not turn around quickly. If you're going to change a supplier for anything, to change supplier takes weeks and weeks and weeks in order to make sure that you're getting the exact same product. So I don't think you're going to see a difference in prices to consumers on the lot. I think you're going to see an impact possibly to the bottom line of some suppliers and some manufacturers.
Mm-hmm. And you alluded there to the reaction or the mindset within the car community, and you certainly have an inside line there. Do you see or hear any indications that automakers may perhaps mobilize to call for some sensible resolution of this, as we have seen some sectors and corporate leaders do, if tentatively, out of fear of how Mr. Trump might react?
Well, President Trump did have General Motors and a couple other manufacturers in the White House last week and earlier this week, and discussing not just climate and what's going on with California, but also this tariffs. So I'm sure that the conversation is going on. The only company that's really going to get hurt the most is Tesla. They're not building cars there, they're importing cars. So, and I don't think Elon Musk has got an open conversation with President Trump. So I don't know if every manufacturer is going to be able to put that much pressure on him to make a deal with China.
Right, and circling back to the U.S. and updating the story we've discussed before of a revolt by states in defense of mileage and clear air standards, we covered that previously 4 major automakers sided with the states led by California on their side of the debate and against President Trump. On Tuesday, California Governor Gavin Newsom said Mercedes-Benz would join this coalition, as well as a 6th company he declined to name. The New York Times cited 2 sources at Mercedes to confirm that claim, as well as executives at this rumored but not named 6th company. If both of those were to come on board, BMW and this mystery company, they would represent a reported collective 40% of the U.S. market share. So are we seeing the Trump sort of negotiation and management style turn out to be about as effective in this negotiation as it has been in managing foreign trade?
I don't think that's going to be the case. 40% of the auto manufacturers is not going to cause President Trump to make a change. Everything's in the works for the changes in mid-September. We're going to see a release of the new regulations. Those will be the regulations that he expects to go into play. He's going to fight California. There's going to be one regulation for the whole country. California should not be calling the shots for the other 49 states. That's the way it's written in our Constitution. That is a huge problem when one state calls for everyone else, which basically means somewhere around $3,000. Someone in Kentucky is paying $3,000 more than everybody else because they're paying for the California regulation. Manufacturers are very frustrated. They plan well in advance to produce cars to meet multiple regulations. And so what's probably going to come down, and this is how I would almost guarantee it's going to come down, they're going to put the regulations out in September. Someone in the 9th District in California is going to say it's illegal. It's going to get tied up in the courts. If President Trump gets reelected, he's going to win, because that's the way it is. One state cannot call the shots for the other 49. However, if he's no longer the president and somebody else is in office, that could cause California to win, which would make them even more powerful, because their goal is to get rid of all fossil fuels. And that's not really possible, because fossil fuels are in everything, because they use petrochemicals to make plastics, and they use it in processing even glass. So there's no way this is going to happen.
Excellent insider insights, as always, from Lauren Fix, the car coach. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.